There are 5 legends that, generally speaking, are known as the greatest players to ever play in the NBA. Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan. Each having their own unique impact on the game of basketball, each providing some of the most memorable moments, not in just NBA history, but in the history of all sports. These are the trailblazers, the men who shaped an entire sport into what it is today. Whether it's poetry in motion, taking flight gracefully over fierce opponents, or being a dominant force like we've never seen before. Without these 5 revolutionary athletes, it's safe to say that the NBA would be a totally different game today. But there can only be one NBA GOAT, only one man who can truly claim the greatest of all time. So what's the argument for and against each of these legendary players? In this video, I'm going to give you the facts on each player, on why they should or should not be considered the greatest of all time, and you decide. Based on this information, who do you believe deserves the highest honor among the basketball community? The GOAT. It took Kobe some time to become the first option superstar. But when Kobe became the #1 guy in LA and he was in his prime, I can make the argument that he was the greatest player in the history of the NBA. Even with bad teams, he consistently led the Lakers to the playoffs in a loaded Western Conference. From the 2004-05 season to the 2012-13 season, he averaged 29 points per game, destroying the league individually and everything in his path. He currently owns the 2nd most points ever scored in the NBA game, with 81 points in 2006 versus the Toronto Raptors. A 5-time NBA champion, 2-time NBA Finals MVP, a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 12 all-defensive selections, and 15 all-NBA selections. What made Kobe truly special was not just his skills, but his killer instinct. Kobe was different. But there are some knocks on his career as well. 3 of his 5 NBA titles were with Shaq, arguably the most dominant center of all time. Shaq won Finals MVP all 3 times during the Lakers three-peat in the early 2000s. And Kobe played the supporting role during most of those championship runs. Kobe also has 1 NBA MVP, a major hit to his claim to being the greatest of all time. And lastly, his career field goal percentage is a 44.7. Every single player on this list has a much higher field goal percentage for their career. Wilt Chamberlain is known for being the most uniquely gifted athlete in the history of the NBA, an athletic marvel who's often referred to as superhuman. Owning one of the most unbreakable records in the history of sports, 100 points in a single game. In a single season, he averaged 50 points per game. And in the 1967-68 season, he led the league in assists, showing that he wasn't just a dominant scorer. Chamberlain led the league in scoring 7 times. He dominated the post with dunks, fadeaways, and he had a soft touch for his size. For his career, he averaged 30 points per game, 23 rebounds, and almost 5 assists. Probably the best career stat line in the history of the league. And he currently holds the record for having the most rebounds in the history of the league. But Wilt only won 2 championships during his entire 14-year career. For him to have only 2 championships is crazy. Wilt was also known as a stat chaser at times, who was only concerned about his own individual accomplishments over the team. He became a team player later on in his career, but only 2 championships from the most dominant player of that era is hard to ignore. LeBron James has been a machine since he entered the NBA, the most hyped player entering the NBA in history. With all that pressure on his shoulders, he annihilated all expectations without a single doubt. He can do everything: scoring, passing, rebounding, defending. His basketball IQ is off the charts, being able to read defenses, call out opponents' plays, and make the right decisions under pressure. 4 championships, 4 NBA MVPs, 4 final MVPs, 18 All-NBA selections, and 6 All-Defensive selections. He currently holds the record for the most career points ever scored in the history of the NBA. LeBron's career has been no doubt impressive, but he also has had some criticism on his professional resume over the years. In 21 NBA seasons, LeBron has only won 4 championships. And 2 of those championships drew extreme criticism from NBA fans because of how he got them. LeBron's first 2 championships came from joining a super team in Miami instead of embracing the grind in Cleveland. A lot of fans believe that he took the easy way out, and that championship in the Orlando bubble draws criticism as well. LeBron's career is also judged by his 4-6 record in the NBA Finals. Making it to the finals 10 times is impressive, but losing more than half of those appearances is not. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's career has been a beacon of durability, longevity, defensive impact, and success. He was the best player in the NBA for over a decade, during the 70s and early 80s, winning MVP after MVP and averaging over 30 points per game in multiple seasons. He developed and perfected the most unguardable shot in the history of basketball, the skyhook. The skyhook was the most devastating move in the history of the league, still to this day. A large portion of Kareem holding the greatest scorer of all time record for as long as he did was because of the skyhook, which no one could stop. He was an elite rim protector and shot blocker, anchoring the paint with his size, timing, and intelligence. 6 championships, 6 MVPs, 15 All-NBA selections, NBA scoring leader for 40 years, 3rd on the all-time blocks list. He averaged 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks for his career. But Kareem has 2 significant negatives that definitely impacts his claim on being the GOAT. Kareem has 6 NBA championships and only has 2 final MVPs. That's hard to go unnoticed. Also, Kareem's last 2 championships, he was not the best player. The best player in the universe was Magic Johnson at the time. If it wasn't for Magic Johnson, Kareem would likely only have 4 championships. Michael Jordan's career needs no introduction. Widely considered the most popular athlete in the history of sports. Jordan's career is just simply unbelievable when you think about everything he accomplished in such a short amount of time. He only played 13 full seasons in the NBA and stopped some of the greatest athletes in the history of basketball from winning an NBA championship. Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller, Karl Malone, John Stockton never got to hold the Larry O'Brien trophy because of Michael Jordan. For almost a decade, Jordan didn't allow anyone to think for a second that they had a chance to win the NBA trophy as long as he was around. Akeem Olajuwon got lucky that MJ decided to go play baseball for a while. 6 NBA championships, 6 NBA Finals MVPs, 5 NBA MVPs, 10 scoring titles, 2 three-peats, 10 All-NBA first teams, a Defensive Player of the Year, and 9 All-Defensive first teams. So what are the drawbacks from Michael Jordan's career? I honestly got nothing. There is nothing that I can truly point to and say that this was a negative on Michael Jordan's career. There's some people that say that he didn't win before Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan made Scottie Pippen to who he is. Scottie Pippen is my favorite player of all time, but he would not have been the player that he became if it wasn't for Michael Jordan. And some people say that Michael Jordan played in a weaker era. That is the most insane thing that I've ever heard. There's no era more competitive than the 90s era of basketball. They were literally throwing people out of the air. They were playing defense back then. If you are dominating like that in the 90s era of basketball, you are that guy. And some people also say, well, he had Phil Jackson. Look, Phil Jackson is one of the greatest coaches in NBA history. But Phil Jackson has also had the luxury of coaching some of the greatest players of all time. Do you honestly believe that Phil Jackson would have won 2 three-peats without Michael Jordan? I don't know. Maybe you believe that, but I do not. So let me know what you think. Am I off or am I on? Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Anyway, that's my time. Peace.